There's a lot of discussion around Disguise Self and how useful it actually can be. The thing with the spell is that it both does and doesn't do everything that you would think Disguise Self will do. Disguise Self in tabletop is an illusion spell that will turn you into whatever other humanoid you want to look like. It has to still be a humanoid in shape, but it can let you be whatever you want. That means you can turn into the villain, you can turn into your best friend, you can turn into that guy down the street, it doesn't matter. The possibilities are endless. Obviously, Baldur's Gate 3 is a video game, and programming every single face in the fucking game would be a absolute fucking nightmare. Like an episode of The Twilight Zone. Just absolutely fucking horrid. So they came up with an alternative solution of letting you transform into different races, as in the races that you would normally be able to pick at the beginning of the game. You don't really get a choice on what they look like, so they kind of just look like the default option for all the races, which is fine, I guess, because it doesn't really matter what they look like. It matters that certain characters confuse you as somebody else, and this is important for a few reasons. The best use for Disguise Self is certain niche scenarios in which being a certain race will benefit you, or might not benefit you, or simply the ability to look like somebody else, which can come in clutch on very rare occasions. There are, however, a few more uses for this that are even more niche and actually much more helpful. Honestly, the best uses for Disguise Self is probably the ones where you can get by with being some kind of alternate race. For instance, everyone knows about this one. You turn into a drow and you get to skip all the goblin interactions. All the goblins piss their pants the moment they see you. Except there's also this like weird glitch where if I have a companion do this, they like all get really fucking mad at my tab. This has happened to me twice over. This is the second time this is happening to me, and I'm not just talking about this save file. I'm talking about like this playthrough. This is the second playthrough this has happened to me, and I don't think anyone has like mentioned this. Well, I don't know what the fuck's up with this. Like, Drow Shadowheart is talking here to these goblins, tells them to eat shit and leave, and then they run into my dwarf tab, and like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Someone explain this to me. Well, you can pass off as a certain race using Disguise Self. There are certain advantages that are only given to the race that you picked at the beginning of the game. You can see this example here. You get like a discount for being a actual dwarf as opposed to just being disguised as a dwarf. The other things that are good about Disguise Self are things that you either have seen other YouTubers do or you've probably tried out yourself out of curiosity, but it disguises you from people that might recognize you, which if you can think outside the box, that would mean that if your character killed someone or did a crime, putting on a shapeshift Disguise Self means that now you're somebody entirely different. Wow! Despite the fact that it says that you can use Disguise Self to circumvent fugitive, you can see here I'm testing it and it doesn't fucking work. I mean, I'm either getting arrested as myself and disguising myself, and it's not working. I'm disguised, getting arrested, and removing the disguise, and it's not working. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Someone let me know. Also, there's this weird interaction I keep having where certain character roles will get reset as if I've never talked to a character before, but others will just kind of go on as if I've already carried out that conversation. I mostly just noticed it with the Ox. I don't know if it's just the Ox specifically who you can keep guessing if you reapply the mask. Maybe there's a few other unique interactions like this, but I don't know. They just find it interesting.
I must be dreaming.
However, let's get into the actually good uses for Disguise Self. You can shrink yourself. If you use this spell to turn yourself into one of the small races, you can actually sneak into nooks and crannies that only halflings and gnomes can like sneak into. Isn't that fucking wild? Why does it work this way? I don't know. The spell is technically an illusion. I think it's even listed as an illusion spell. You're looking like a different race. It makes no sense to me that you can just do this. Well, maybe it's like the mushrooms in Dungeon Meshi, where it like polymorphs your body into like a similar race, but you don't get any of their racial bonuses. You don't get to move like a halfling or like a wood elf. You're still whatever you started off as. So it's technically not the spores from Dunmeshi either. It's like its own thing. Oh, people also already know about this one. You can disguise yourself after you killed someone to talk to them, so nothing super crazy here. I mean, Speak with Dead is already a pretty niche spell to learn any kind of like very small amount of info, so using an already niche spell to utilize another very niche spell is, you know, but one of its actual better uses is the fact that you can gain abilities that you would only have from items if you were a certain race. You can see Shadow Art here gains an extra psychic damage die because she is disguised as a Githyanki, and only Githyanki would gain that die. I don't know why the item just assumes you're that race, but I don't know, it's not like items do a DNA test on you or anything. With that in mind, you can get a couple of kind of cute disguise builds, like shapeshifter builds, you know, get the ring from the ox, get like a Githyanki longsword, and you can have something pretty funky going on. But honestly, it's pretty niche, and some of the better stuff you would get for being a shapeshifter, you would only get in the like very end game, and at that point it's just kind of redundant. What's heartbreaking though is that if you drop to 0, you actually drop the shapeshifting too, which means all your bonuses are gone, so really it kind of blows actually. But yeah, that's kind of the idea of the Sky Self. It's mostly a spell used for like very niche utilities and getting some bonuses out of racial abilities that normally you wouldn't be able to get a bonus out of. Thank you all for watching. May your runs be evergreen.
I've no use for the Absolute, or any god. I follow two masters only.
Like
And
subscribe.